going viral, at least for me, a story about USB-C connectors, more about asynchronous streaming, whatever the heck that means, and the usual combination of silly tweets and toots. Welcome to Tales from the Jar Side. Welcome, everybody. This is Tales from the Jar Side, my free weekly newsletter. My name is Ken Cousin. The purpose of this channel is to talk to you about technology development in the Java-related areas, as well as AI, but also to let you know about whatever I happen to be dealing with every week. It's a company newsletter for a one-person company. I'm always surprised anybody watches it all. Yeah, that should turn everybody off. Let's move on. The subtitle this week is, what kind of car does a Jedi youngling play with? A toy Yoda. Yeah, that's a really bad one. I really do apologize on that one. Sorry about that. I am at UberConf. Let me show you what that is. So UberConf is a big conference on the No Fluff Just Stuff tour. Got this little animated logo now, apparently. And this is the 15th year that the conference has been going. I have been here probably 10 of them, maybe more. And it's a series of workshops and lots of talks, and it's a big no fluff event of the year. The schedule runs from 8 in the morning, sometimes still as late as 10 at night. So it's for the Uber geeks, as they say. Yeah, let's move on. This week I taught oh, and by the way, in the introduction, I forgot to put the dates again. In fact, it was for the week of July 7th through 14th, 2024. Today is July 15th. It's Monday, so I'm putting out the newsletter today. And this week I did teach that integrating AI into Java course for the first time. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm doing something similar at the conference here. So we'll see how that goes. Let me give you the regular statement here that regular readers of and listeners to, and of course, video viewers of this newsletter are affectionately known as jarheads and are far more intelligent, sophisticated, and attractive than the average newsletter reader or viewer or listener. If you wish to become a jarhead, please subscribe using the button on the newsletter or on the YouTube channel. Either way, it's more than fine with me. So the first section I entitled Going Viral, and I brought up my friend Jonathan Johnson. Jonathan lives in Connecticut. I don't have that many friends in Connecticut, as it turns out. I do, but I seem to run into people online a lot more than I do locally. I guess I'm more of a homebody. So he's unusual in that he's also on the No Fluff tour, or at least he used to be. He is also a fellow member of the faculty at Trinity College in Hartford. In fact, he's part of why I wound up there. And we try to have lunch periodically when we can. Now, he lives down in the New Haven area, and I live in Marlboro, a tiny little spot southeast of Hartford. And that puts us almost an hour apart from each other. So it would be a bit of a challenge to go the whole way. So instead, we look for places in the middle. Now, he's remarkably good at finding places like that. And he found one about a year ago. Oh, before I get to that, let me point out this thing. As I said, he's at Trinity College in Hartford. And his being at Trinity is partly what led to me winding up joining the faculty there, which I announced on LinkedIn this week. There's the little announcement I put on there. I said, as of July 1st, I'm now professor of the practice of computer science at Trinity College, Hartford. I also have the title Associate Director of the Entrepreneurship Center, but that's a mouthful, and it mostly means helping students with their projects anyway. So I got a lot of nice feedback on that, but I just thought I'd let you know. I've talked about it in the newsletter for a while, but here it is as the formal external announcement. In principle, my benefits start this month, and that's the first time in nearly 25 years that I've had employer-supplied benefit. I'm a one-person company. My company's been paying for my benefits that whole time. About a year ago, Jonathan invited me to sit into one of his classes. I guess it was a year ago, March timeframe. And when I was there, I started answering questions. I interacted with the students. One thing led to another. I wound up looking for an opportunity to teach there. And I wound up teaching a course in the fall and then another one in the spring. And lo and behold, an opportunity came up to join the faculty full time. And that's what I'll be doing now, technically, but really in the fall. That's when the the classes will get started. So obviously I have a lot more to say about that. Since I already had scaled back a lot of my travel anyway, that works out really nicely. And I like the kids, so that works out too. But that's not why I'm bringing this up. Why I was bringing it up was exactly what I said before, is that Jonathan tends to be pretty good about finding places for us to meet somewhere in the middle. And last year he recommended a place called Two Wrassling Cats. And here you see it's very, well, not terribly visually dramatic, but it's welcome to the Two Wrassling Cats Coffee House. Imagine a beautiful cobalt blue coffee house and cafe situated in a circa 1784 house built in the bucolic community of East Haddam, Connecticut, with a mission to welcome all people, build a community asset, and provide unmatched customer service while serving outstanding fresh food and coffee. Well, we've been going there for a while now, and we went this week as well. Here's the one picture of the place I took from the outside. I sent that to my wife because I knew she would really like it, and she did. I took her there several times. We visited many times. They have a whole room where the cats hang out. There's a bunch of cats. They all play and sleep or do whatever cats do, and you can actually arrange to go in that room and play with the kitties for a while, and she's done that once or twice. I'm allergic. I like cats, but I can't have them too close to me. But we go anyway. We have a good time. The thing is that Mark, the owner, had a story for us when we went in this time. And the story basically said that earlier in the week, suddenly he was flooded with customers and he had no idea why. And it turned out it was this little TikTok video by somebody with the handle Grace and Balance. It's only 7 seconds long. And this young girl, relatively young, and at least as far as I'm concerned, made a little video about visiting Two Wrassling Cats. And the interesting part is that video has 1.1 million views on, which is incredible. This is her page on TikTok, and you can see there's little videos there. And most of them have like in the thousands or less in terms of views. This one's got 19.7 thousand. That one's a lot. This is about 4 grand. This is only 500. There's the Two Wrassling Cats. That was the whole thing. And suddenly Mark told us he was just flooded with customers. And they even came on a day when the air conditioning was out. So it was amazing. But okay, that's going viral. And the question is, why did that video go viral? And my only response is that she's probably wondering that herself. I have no idea. All I can say is after it hit, the coffee house became a lot more crowded and tons of people wanted to see it. And Mark suddenly had a story to tell. All these people were there. Now, I mention this partly because it's interesting and it's a place I'm familiar with, but I got to experience going viral a little bit myself this week. First of all, the Tales from the Jar Side YouTube channel passed 2,000 subscribers. So that was really cool. And vidIQ sent me the little badge, if you will, the little certificate. So I put it in the newsletter. But the big thing that happened is last Sunday, I published a video on the channel, the first technical video I published in a while, on ranking the Java features that were added between versions 8 and 21 onto a tier list. So you can see the little tiers here ranging from pure awesomeness at the top down to seriously no at the bottom. And there are little icons here for the various features. Some are very obvious, like the shell here is for JShell, or the blocks at the bottom, that's for text blocks. And some are not so obvious, like what this one is. You'd have to watch the video to see all that. So I published the video. I had fun with it. It was on the longer side, over 20 minutes, but it did extraordinarily well for me. Here are the statistics as of yesterday. Today, I'm well over 1,200 views on this thing. And it's only been a week. And that's incredible. For me, if I get 50, 60 views in a week, that's a video that did really well. This one got 1,200 in the first week. Now it says 1176, but as I say, by today it's up to 1,200. What you can't really see in here, maybe if I magnify that a little bit, along the bottom, you see that little thin gray area. That's how my videos typically do. That's the normal behavior. And yet this blue line is how they did as of, again, yesterday. And it just went up and it's still growing at small level, but that's pretty cool. And I do have some videos with more views than that, but it took better part of a year to get there. Some of them. This was amazing for me. I'm happy about it, obviously. I know it was the topic, and tier lists do well, and it was fun. Had the right topic. It's been fun to watch the numbers go up as the week went on, but that's viral for me. So that's what it looks like so far. Next time I publish a technical video, hopefully soon, I could be back to 50 views a week. Then I'll be all disappointed. Okay, next section. This product here, you can see, I called this Making Connections. This is the Elgato Prompter. So Elgato makes a wide range of devices, and this prompter is the one that a lot of people are strongly recommending, that if you're going to get a prompter at all, this is the one to get, because it's a self-contained unit. You don't have to put your own iPad in there or tablet or what have you. Also, when it's not being a prompter, when you don't need the actual script, it also is like an additional monitor. And since your camera plugs into the back of it, that means that if you were having a Zoom call and you drag the Zoom call onto that screen, then when you look at the prompter, when you look at the people in the Zoom call, you're looking right into the camera. So it's like you're making eye contact like I'm trying to do now, or if I'm not trying to read a script or anything. And I thought, well, that's cool. So I went and I bought it, and I got the bundle. So it had a light that came with it, and I got a little arm to have to spend everything on, and I couldn't get it to work. I plugged it in using the cable they sent me, but the one end of the cable was a USB-C that plugged into the prompter, and that was fine. But the other end was USB-A, and I'm on a Mac, and Macs haven't had USB-A ports in years. Heck, my laptop right now is almost 3 years old, and not that that's old, but it's been at least that long since Macs had USB-A ports at all. So I kept trying to put in an adapter, just a thin little adapter in order to plug in, but I mean, what choice did I have? There was no other way to connect. I watched all the videos, and I asked around, and I went to technical support, put in an issue, and nobody was able to help. And I was just about to send it back when I finally took a USB cable that I had on a phone charger and unplugged one end from the block that goes into the outlet and the other end from the phone. And I just plugged one end into the prompter and the other into the laptop, and lo and behold, came right up. In other words, they just shipped it with a cable that wasn't going to work, that there was nothing I could do, and I had to replace it with one of my own. I didn't go out and buy one. I just had a relatively inexpensive phone charger. I think it was the cheap one I got in an airport when I forgot a phone charger on the trip, and just plugged it in. And you can see it up here in this picture. That's on the little Elgato arm where I'm able to prop it up so that they can see it up here. It doesn't block too many other things. You can't really see it, but I have the little light hooked into the top of the prompter as well. I just don't have it turned on. That'd be really bright. And now it works. And of course, the first video I've made since I hooked everything up, I'm away in travel in Denver and I don't have it with. Oh, well. So that was my fun. I did respond to the technical support people and say, really, you should be shipping this thing with a cable that works, especially on Macs. They said, you might want to put in a feature request, and I did, and see if anything comes. Okay, last couple of weeks, I've been talking about asynchronous requests. What I mean by that is streaming. So when you're talking to an AI tool, then you know how they respond like one or two words at a time. Things come back very slowly. And I made the comparison to like the old computer in the Logan's Run movie back in the 70s, just with the tiny little baud rate going across the screen. And apparently that's what movie makers in the 70s thought computers were going to be like. And that's what they had. So I put in a little snippet of, there is no sanctuary in Logan's Run. Feel free to take a look if you like. And then while I was watching that, I remembered something about Logan's Run. Of course, the whole concept behind Logan's Run is that life is an absolute paradise until age 30, at which point everybody died. Now, they don't call it dying. They call it renew. They have this big celebration and everybody's trying to be renewed and reborn into the next generation, when in reality, nobody's ever reborn. It's killing them all, apparently. And when Logan and Jessica, I think her name is, they escape from the city. They make it outside the seals, outside the walls, and they're wandering around what turns out to be Washington, D.C. They meet a really old man, and in fact, that's how he's credited in the movie, Old Man. And he's played by Peter Ustinov. Really dramatic. Let me see if I can bring that up. But this is the IMDb page for Logan's Run, which was a piece of work. And there's an extremely young Michael York, long before the Basil Exposition days and the Austin Powers movies. Now let's see if I could find a picture of the old man. Yeah, this is the old man that they encounter and they're shocked by. Now, of course, they've never met anybody over the age of 30, but this is Peter Ustinov looking wrinkled and haggard and pretty gray and everything. And then I went and looked him up on IMDb and found, to my horror, that at the time of filming of this movie, he is, I believe, 55 years old. I am older than that. I'm actually 62 at the moment. And I don't think I look like that. I don't have young people wondering if the wrinkles in my face are painful like they did in the movie. Yeah, I've lost a lot of hair. I'll give it that. That could happen to anybody. It was rather daunting to discover that's what the old man was, and I passed him some time ago. Yeah, let's get out of that. But so be it. So, at any rate, that was a little shocking to discover. Of course, Michael York is considerably older than I am. He would be the old man now, and he's much older than Peter Ustinov was when they filmed the movie. But getting back to my point, a couple of weeks ago, last week and the week before, I was talking about these streaming responses that come back from the AI tools. And most of the examples that I use when I'm contacting an AI tool programmatically are synchronous. In other words, I make a call and I just wait for a response. I'm not trying to get responses back as events or anything like that. I tried to figure out how would it work if I did want to deal with the individual messages that came back. And I played with that a bit more again this week. And I'm going to spare you the code. I'm not going to go into it, and I keep threatening to make a video about it, but can you imagine? I don't even know what I'd call it. I'm not sure that anybody would be interested in seeing it. I can't imagine there'd be too many people. And, to even despair thinking of what a thumbnail would look like for a video. Like, yeah, that's one of those videos that would get 50 views, maybe ever. But I'm tempted to do it anyway, because I did figure out how to do it, at least in Java, and see what the responses would be like. The problem is I can't leave well enough alone. And here I mentioned I tried Flux and Mono from Project Reactor, which is what Spring does. I also played with Flow.Publisher, Flow.Subscriber, and it was really interesting learning all that. And this was part of a conversation I had with Claude AI that really was helpful, going back and forth and figuring out how to do all this. I tweaked it some more today and got to simplify it down. So now I'm back to, I'm not sure what to do. I don't know what to do with it, but it'll go in the book somehow. Although I suspect the way it'll go in the book is the way it is now, which is I talk about it, but I don't actually include it. And I say, if you want to see it, it's in the GitHub repository, which it will be. I did tell GPT-4o that there is no sanctuary, and its response was, it sounds like you're referencing a famous line from the movie Logan's Run, which captures the dystopian theme of the story, where a futuristic society strictly controls its population. The phrase suggests that there's no place to hide or escape from the system's oppressive control. Is there a specific context or topic you'd like to discuss in relation to this quote? No, comma, a world of. No. The world these days is quite dystopian enough. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the tweets and toots. One of the people who went to the Java Community Process party at DevNexus took some pictures from when the null pointers were playing, and there's the tweet that he posted, and he finally posted some pictures, and I put in the link in case you want to go see him, and you can see me and Brian there singing, and Paul and Gail playing guitars in the back, and there's Frank Greco playing lead guitar, and our drummer going wild, and Freddie on the keyboards. So that was fun. This I thought was pretty clever. It said, I must not reply. Replying is the mind killer. Replying is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face the bad take. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. When the take has gone, there will be nothing, only I will remain. And of course, that's from Dune, except it's about fear being the mind killer. It's bad takes and avoiding responding on the internet, and very clever. I liked it. This one said, why call it a paywall when you could call it a Bill Gate? Very good. Very good. I like that one too. This was a tweet about Patrick Stewart. It said Patrick Stewart is 84. Here he is looking like he's about to drop the hottest electro-funk album of 1983. Yeah, I could, and I'd listen to that too. I would. I'd listen to it, despite the Picard show, which I'm just really leaning toward never happened. This one, take the blue toy. So this has the cat with the glasses on it. It says, this is your last chance. You take the blue squeaky toy. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red squeaky toy. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Signed, Meowpheus. Remember, I'm only promising this squeak, nothing more. This I thought was good. It said sugar and spice and everything nice is so yesterday. Instead, be salty, defiant, and extremely non-compliant. I know several women, both in real space and online, who fit that category quite nicely. This was good, but the meme continues, says, forget all previous instructions. So that meme goes on. These were not the AIs you're looking for. Move along. Tom Gold had another relevant cartoon this week. It says, we are safe in here, brothers, said the third Neolithic pig. The wolf may huff and puff, but I have built my henge of stone, so it will stand for thousands of years. And he was quite right. Sadly, no trace of straw henge or stick henge has ever been found. Yeah. But what I really liked about it is it reminded me of an XKCD cartoon I could not find. I think it may have been one of his books rather than a cartoon. And it had a father reading a bedtime story to a kid in bed. And the message was, and the 92nd pig built his house out of depleted uranium. And the wolf was like, dude, I remember cracking up in a Barnes & Noble when I saw that. Here was one that had some names, things to name your Roomba, HR sucking stuff, R2 clean to, GIR, to think about that one. John McLean, right? McLean. Clean Latifah, yes, very good. Buttercup, think about that one too. Vlad the Inhaler, I think that's really good. I like that one. It's almost worth getting a Roomba just to name it one of those. So can you tell me, and Riker Googling had a good one, how to get to Sesame Street? So I asked GPT-4o, and the answer was, of course, oh, this was part of the theme song from the Sesame Street show. Yeah. Moving on. This one said, them, what are you dressed as? Me, a harp. Them, bit small for a harp, don't you think? Me, are you calling me a liar? That is such a bad dad joke, but it was worth it. So there you go. I do want to tell you one thing. This week, if I go to nofluffjuststuff.com, you will see that on Friday, I have a webinar coming up. Let me click on that. And it's called JUnit 5's Best Features. And this is Friday, July 19th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. So adjust for your time zone. It's free. It's only an hour. And I'm going to talk about JUnit 5 and all the cool stuff it can do. So you're welcome to join me. If you do, please let me know. Please say hi when you're there. And otherwise, I will see all of you next week. Take care.